got the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, and the ministry has introduced heritage-based curriculum which promotes innovation. And right now I'm with an innovator, Donovan. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm fine. What's your full name?
My name is Donovan Mlambo.
Which school are you from?
Plumtree High School.
So can you please briefly tell us what you have done?
Okay, so at the ZITF, I brought two projects, mainly the guardian board as well as the Pythagorean meter. So the Pythagorean meter, this is a gadget that can be used for capturing heights, lengths, and also used for calculating areas as well as the projectiles, making use of mathematical concepts like the Pythagoras theorem, the trig ratios, as well as the mathematical formula area is equal to half a b sine theta, as it can capture true lengths as well as true angles for us. And also this system, we realize that it can be used in industry, in commercial, in education setups, as well as in military. Then over here we have got the guardian board. So this is a disaster management robot, which is a general purpose robot, which is artificial intelligent. Why general purpose? Why multifunctional? Because it has got quite a number of components integrated to be one to give results. For example, the components include the firefighting component, the first aid component, as well as the information dissemination component. Now, the information dissemination component is divided into two, as we can receive FM radio waves as well as broadcast FM radio waves. Why broadcasting FM radio waves? To be able to distress signal, to share the distress signal, and these FM radio waves are broadcasted at a high frequency to enable us to override other channels and share the distress signal. Then what's unique about this robot is that it promotes inclusivity in such a way that it caters for the blind, for the deaf, as well as the mute. Now for the blind, it has got the smart googles as well, the other sensors that work on the smart googles to actually facilitate the person, the blind person, to move from one place to another, making use of the sensors. And the googles can detect fires as well as obstacles to make sure that the person can easily get to safety. Then for those who cannot speak or hear what we are saying, you can actually make use of the guardian board to actually assist in the communication. How? They just type whatever they want to say on the cell phone and the guardian board says it for them. Then they...
Okay, so it's possible that I can be deaf and I can be dumb. So how does this help me if I can't speak and I can't hear?
Now, if you cannot speak and you cannot hear, if you want to have to have communication with me, and you want to communicate with me rather, okay, you just type whatever you want to say, then it is said by the robot itself without changing anything. Now, how do you get the response now? The robot captures whatever I say in response, making use of the electret microphone. Then it processes it, making use of the Arduino board. Then you get the response in text format. By that way, you are able to read my response. By doing so, we are having a conversation going on.
Okay, so what inspired you to create these both?
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, I come from Plumtree, which is a very small town in Matabeleland. So in Plumtree, we tend to realize that we face quite a number of challenges day in, day out. And since the town is very small, it is still developing. It is difficult for us to come up with proper equipment. That's why I decided, okay, why not use the knowledge that I have from school and coming up with robots that can assist us, gadgets that can assist us in our day-to-day activities, making use of recycled material.
I believe you created this using ingqondo zakho and research, so don't you need funding?
I definitely need funding. As you are looking at these projects, you realize that let me not say most of them, all of them, I used recycled material because it is what was at my disposal. Now, why did I use recyclable material to come up with this project? To actually show you that I have got the idea and I am able to develop it into something that can properly function. Now, having proper funding, having proper material and equipment, I can build something which is of a higher standards and something that is very beneficial to the community.
Is it possible for you to show us how these work?
Unfortunately, the battery system is out of
How about this one?
Okay, as for this one, what you need to do first, for example, in capturing the height of an object, for example, I want to capture the height of that wall. What I need to do first is I zero the system over here. Then having zeroed the system here, I make sure that I release the chances of error, the percentages of error. Why should we release the percentage of error? Because it might be standing on a ground of different terrains. Now the gradient might be different. So by doing this, I'm creating an angle of 90 degrees here, which will in turn be used in further calculations. For example, I've got an example here, whereby I was capturing someone's height, right? So over here we've got the person's height, and then over here we've got the gadget. So what I did was first I target at the feet, obtain the angle, target at the head, obtain the angle, then do a few mathematical calculations whereby I'm able to determine their height without actually being in contact with the person. So realize that this system can also be used in capturing angles, heights, as well as in military, as I mentioned before. You realize that if they want to launch a missile, right, the three things that they need that are very important is the launch velocity, the launch angle, as well as the horizontal distance. Now, having this system close by, it can calculate for that for us, and for sure they will aim the target and hit it. Now, when you come to education sector, you realize that yearly the percentiles in mathematics are very low. Why? Because of topics that are very difficult to understand. For example, you look at arithmetics, you realize that students are able to understand arithmetics. Why? Because they deal with money day in, day out. But what about the trig ratios? What about the Pythagoras theorem? They do not deal with those day in, day out. So having this gadget close by, they can as well cover a topic in class, then go outside and do an experiment. By doing so, they easily grasp the concept. Even if a question comes in the exam, they are able to tackle it. And the percentages in mathematics will rise, as many people will be able to pass mathematics. As for industry, you realize, for example, a building has caught fire. Now, for reconstruction purposes, it will be difficult for them to reconstruct the building, as the building can collapse anytime. How will they be able to capture the measurements? Now, this gadget can do that for us, as well as capture the areas of the roofing sheets, the number of roofing sheets they will need to use. As you requested for a demonstration earlier, maybe I can just do a demonstration of part of the guardian board. For example, as I mentioned earlier, that it caters for those who are living with disabilities. For example, we have got blind people in the area. Now, the gadget has detected a fire, right? Now, these Googles are connected to the system. Now, what you do, you just assist the blind person in wearing these Googles. If it is an obstacle, you hear it is beeping, right? Now it is beeping. As I put my hand closer. Okay, rather, for fire detection, you know that fire emits infrared, right? Now, these sensors detect the infrared being emitted by the fire. As it is, the system has, the battery pack has run out of power, but most sensors are active. Now, the sensors are active. So by doing so, you realize that since fire is emitting the infrared, these Googles can also detect the infrared from the fire. And the action will be the same as when it is an obstacle. By doing so, the person gets to safety.
Okay, thank you so much for feeding our brains with information.